Hello everyone and welcome to the Webeo B2B Conversion Secrets webinar, Getting Started with a B2B CRO Program. I'm Dawn Upton and I'll be hosting today. And today we're really grateful to Mia Rodgers for joining us. Mia is a digital marketing and web manager at Acumatica, an award-winning and leading innovator in cloud enterprise resource planning. With customers located around the world, they're ranked #1 ERP by Nucleus Research, and Acumatica helps mid-sized companies thrive in today's fast-moving markets. Mia has over 10 years of experience working on digital marketing strategies for B2B, and she is an expert in creating data-driven and budget-conscious lead generation marketing campaigns, utilising social media, email, search display, ABM, and content distribution. Mia has experience with the implementation of multiple marketing automation softwares and is a creative thinker who enjoys working on collaborative teams in fast-paced environments. So thank you so much for joining us today, Mia.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So if we could just start by you telling us a bit about Acumatica, that would be wonderful.
Yep. So Acumatica is an enterprise resource planning or ERP business management system. We have editions specific for general business, manufacturing, construction, distribution, and retail commerce. We sell all around the world, as you mentioned, or we focus our personalizations specifically to the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and South Africa. We have offices all over the world. We have employees all over the world, and we now have over 10,000 customers around the world.
Wow, okay, that's fabulous. Thank you. And obviously, I know from the conversations we've had, there are some specific kind of on-site challenges you were having at Acumatica, which sort of started the conversations with Webeo. So can you tell us a bit more about those challenges, please?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we've got these multiple verticals that we're targeting. So each audience member is coming into our website from a different industry. They are looking for, different pieces of our software that would work for their business. We have multiple people coming in from different roles. We have like I said, we have multiple product solutions that we offer that might fit better for each one. We sell to different parts of the world. And then there's also behavioral differences of the way people are coming to our website. So the first-time visitor is going to have a different experience, or I'm saying they might have a different expectation of our website than the fifth-time visitor and what they're looking for.
And so I understand you've got sort of 5 main sort of verticals that you're targeting, but then you also have these other kind of industries as well that you also want to, from the moment they come to your website, show them that you are experts in their field and that you can work very effectively with them.
And that's exactly right. So while we are targeting these, 4 main, manufacturing, construction, distribution, basically Webeo and your data has told us that we have healthcare, people in the healthcare industry, health and beauty coming into our website. And so it really kind of opened our eyes about, hey, we need to personalize not for this experience as well. And we have customers in each of these channels. So this is an important way to actually get the personalization to the right audiences. So it's been a great project, just really understanding who our audience is and how they're behaving with our website.
Okay, great. And I know sort of another challenge that you had in terms of your website and, all that those various different sectors and decision makers coming to the site was also that you've got sort of multiple traffic sources. They're all visiting from different channels and different marketing activity that you're doing to drive that traffic to the site. So can you tell us why that was a particular challenge?
So, yeah, I mean, this is actually really interesting, but if you look strictly at an A/B test, but yet you've got multiple traffic sources coming, different channels coming to that A/B test, and you've got PPC, and you've got organic, and you've got, maybe a different display campaign happening. Each of these audiences are going to interact with this A/B test differently. So we really need to know results across all your channels to truly evaluate what's happening on your page and how to make your page look. So this deep dive into our channels and then looking at the behavior of them really does give you a better picture of what's happening.
Okay, and then obviously when you've got all of those different sectors coming from all of those different channels, you guessed it, you've got multiple conversion pages as well. So just another level and another layer of almost sort of complication for you when it comes to measuring your results and the impact and conversions of your activity. So
right. And so, like I said, it could be a different role that might be interested in ROI, for example. Or maybe somebody is really ready to only know pricing. This is really important to them. Or they just need to understand what our software does, and they need to know how it's going to work for their business, and they need a specific demo. And so each of our conversions maybe are, depending on how the person's coming to the website, depending on who they are coming to the website, and even depending on what audience or industry they're in. So all of these play a role, but they did make the whole puzzle seeming, come together in the end.
Sure. Okay, so I think that sort of takes us quite nicely onto, the overall goal that you set when you started speaking to us around your kind of website personalization and what you wanted to achieve from that. So, really it was you've got all of these different decision makers, all of these different industries, they're having to kind of look on your website for the content that's most relevant to them. So I know, on your top navigation, there's a whole menu and options for different sectors, different decision makers. And so really the goal was to show them as soon as they hit your website, they're in the right place. And kind of, moving on from that to really increase the acquisition of those ideal customer profile buyers, sort of driving up conversion, and the target was by 20 to 25%. So, I think it's really telling, because obviously you've got all these different kind of product solutions, and how you sell that product varies based on those audiences. The value proposition for products is different for those different industries and the different decision makers. And it's actually a really obvious sort of problem that lots of businesses have, because, outside of the website, the approach to prospects is tailored by marketing and sales, and it's very well versed, it's tested, it's adjusted. We're always making sure that, engagements are relevant, that all of that activity is optimized. But I think a lot of businesses, are not doing this on the most important piece. So the website, everyone goes there for conversion, but it's not being optimized. So, we know that businesses are optimizing everything from their campaigns to the sales pitch, but not the website. And so, the process that we go through with new customers when they come on board, and the process we went through with you, obviously, was to really work with our clients on their CRO strategy. And we're very serious about this and about doing it properly. So with Acumatica, we undertook a CRO program, and it recognises that we know who your ICPs are and what the opportunity is with these website visitors, and how can we improve that conversion on site. So there's sort of initially 3 things to be aware of here. First of all, you've got to be serious about it. And, it's really kind of thinking about, how that focus will impact the overall outcome of your personalization activities. You've got to start with the data in that process. Also, it does take time in B2B, because in most instances, our web traffic isn't as high as our B2C counterparts. And so we really need to make sure that we're letting sort of tests and all those sorts of things running their course and giving them time to mature and telling us an accurate story. So we've got, accurate data points to kind of make those decisions. But also, I think what's really important is it doesn't have to be resource heavy. So if you find the right partner, you can get the right advice. It can, it doesn't have to be resource heavy. So, really it's about consistency. And, the more consistent you are with your activity, focusing on the things that mean the most to your website visitors, the better. So, this really is all about enabling you to make the website as agile as possible as the rest of your activity and to help you achieve your sort of business goals. So I think it's fair to say Acumatica have been on this journey for nearly 2 years now. And from day one, Mia, you and the team have been super invested in making it work. And, it's obviously so much that you can personalize. So, your site in particular has a lot of content on it. If you were to try and personalize everything, like your job would never be done. But it was, the focus really was to approach it in a really smart way.
That's right. Yeah, that was, to this day, we're still working on, improving everything and increasing our personalization detail level, but we kind of had to know where to start, what were the key places to start. And I think that was part of what this whole project was about, is exactly getting us to start in a smart way, like you said.
Yeah. Definitely. So, obviously we knew from the off that you guys absolutely know who your ICPs are, who your key sectors are, and you go to great lengths to really engage with them. You do a great job in terms of getting those prospects to the website. And, it really was focused on that kind of goal of once they're on the site, we really need to convert them and we need to increase that conversion rate. So this is where we kind of use CRO to focus on this goal of conversion and drive more revenue for the business. And the first step of this project is to really identify where the largest opportunities are on the website, to improve the conversion initially. And to start with, you can look at a tool like Google Analytics, because it can tell you where that traffic is coming from and where the conversions are. So it gives you sort of a holistic view of what that looks like. But what it doesn't tell you is information about ICP. So this is what you really need to know to ensure your experiences are building, more relevant, focused on those sort of pages that the visitors are coming from. So our CRO expert, Phil, and our head of customer success, Holly, went through this whole process with Acumatica to ensure that every single decision is based on data. And they started with the basics, right? So they kind of went through this process with you, didn't they, Mia?
Yeah, so let me kind of tell about it. It was actually, they had big asks at first. We're like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. So we actually had to dive into many different departments of our team. And we found out, our whole product marketing team, they do have these persona documents, and we deep dive into all of this. Like you said, it wasn't just analytics. And I think you'll kind of dive into a little bit more of that in the future here, but it was so much more analysis of the way we sell, who we're selling to, the industries we're selling to, the key aspects of what's important for each of those industries. And so all of this analysis came together in this series of conversations that we had with the CRO team, the whole Phil and Holly and John, and it was great. I learned a lot the whole process, even about our own website and our own product. So it was a really good, it was a great approach to
this. Great. And so it is, some of the sort of basic, sort of high level, we'd look at things like the conversion rates on the website, where those visitors are coming from, who's visiting the site, as you say, those sort of persona docs around, those businesses and their needs, and that intel that you've just been talking about. But then the next stage from that really is to use quantitative analysis to determine page prioritization. So again, this process we went through with you, it's all about identifying on those pages, isn't it, that have the biggest impact, get the biggest footfall and have the highest growth opportunity. So as you can see on the screen, we literally score those pages based on those 3 criteria. and then focus on the pages with the highest scores, because they are your biggest opportunities where you can have the most impact. So as you can see for Acumatica, those pages that we then focused on were the request a demo page, industries specifically around construction, pricing, and then demo video as well. So they were sort of identified as those pages that would have the biggest impact when it came to conversion rate optimization. And then really go through quite a detailed analysis of those pages, a real sort of core focus on them. So we look at other stats as well. So it includes visits, exit rate, bounce rate, conversion rate, top referring pages to that specific page. And as you can see right now, we looked at perception maps as well to identify where the visitors are being pulled. And Mia, I know you sort of quite enjoyed this process, didn't you?
Well, so I will say, like I said, we pulled in all sorts of data and we were all looking at it, and it got to the point where my brain, I was thinking, well, we've given them too much. Oh, there's too much content here. How do we begin? And so when they came up with these data-driven analysis and an approach to attack, if that's the right word, of this whole project, and give it clearly outlined. And so I remember seeing, things like this. I've never seen this kind of way to look at the way a page is being viewed, and it all kind of came together and it made so much sense. So there was this perception map, and then we get into you call it an intention map, we call it a heat map, right? So it's something that really made so much sense. Like, we've looked at these before, but then I feel like having a second set of eyeballs looking at it really made the data kind of make sense.
Yeah, definitely. So, some of the things that highlighted was that people are being drawn to the logo and the call to action button. But actually what you really wanted them to do was complete the form, right? And right. Convert on that page. So, it really kind of identified those opportunities. And, as part of that CRO exercise, some opportunities for improvement were actually uncovered on the core Acumatica website pages. So we identified some quick wins to make to pages, as well as the personalization opportunities. So we actually recommended that Acumatica did an A/B test incorporating conversion rate optimization best practice. And this really is the foundation for all of this activity. It's all built from here. So if you improve the overall conversion rate optimization of the website first, it's going to give you an even higher uplift when you then start doing personalizations too. So, Mia, I know you've got some interesting background on this page in particular.
So our requested demo page obviously is one of our key converting pages. It really distinguishes between a lead and becoming an MQL, marketing qualified lead. So it's a huge converter for us. It's a really important converting page for us. And we had tried to improve this page in the past, and we couldn't. We actually kept every new design wasn't better. And so we had this one page that was looking different from the rest of the website because it was an older version, because it was converting better than any new version. And so I will say that, yes, we finally achieved an improvement. I mean, a 49% conversion rate is a huge win, but I will say took multiple iterations to get here.
Yeah, and we can see some of the changes that you made here. So, the headlines or space and design was given more standout. You actually put industry-specific references in the copy. And then the focus was very much above the line, wasn't it? To kind of get all of that, above the fold, so that people see it as, the maximum impact on the screen. And then also sort of industry relevant sort of social proof as well. So they were some of the sort of key sort of changes that you made. And then I know you kind of went through a similar process on this pricing page as well, which also has achieved a pretty amazing sort of conversion rate uplift, right?
Yeah, so there were two really key things that happened on these pages. We were really focused, like flowing of water on a page, right? We were focusing on where is this water going? And ultimately, we want them to fill out the form and not just get distracted along the way. And so in our original pricing page, while we were giving all this information, giving a video, we were even had, oh, would you like to calculate your ROI? We had too many distractions. It was too many ways to leave the page, too many ways to not even see the pricing form on the page. So we took what we had done and kind of best practices that we learned in Request a Demo, and then we applied it to pricing. And we've since actually improved this page even more. And one thing that you can't quite see in these images is that we actually took away the navigation and the footer on these pages when you got to them, and that helped improve the conversion rate. So yeah, we've taken this image off as well because it seemed more distracting, and we were able to improve the conversion additionally. So it's I think the key to both of these pages, and really where our conversion, was adding personalization for each industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Which kind of takes us quite nicely onto our next slide. So, you know, this is an example of the retail sector sort of homepage personalization that you guys built. And I think it's fair to say, prior to these industry personalizations, you know, your visitors from specific industries that you work with would have to go to the top navigation, select your solutions, you know, option from that tab. There'd be a drop-down menu with your kind of core industries that you work with. They'd have to sort of navigate their way through the site to find that relevant information. But what this has enabled you to do is actually show that up front from the first visit to the site, hasn't it? So would you be able to just sort of talk us through that a little bit as well?
Yeah, so you only have so much time to wow them and to draw them in, right? And so by personalizing specifically for their audience and feeling, you know, they're feeling like they're in the right place, they're exactly, you know, they're seeing maybe competitors of theirs, or we're talking the language that they speak already in their own industry. It just makes more sense. And so this was a whole personalization journey through the website. And it really, I think it's, you know, you're only, like you said, you only get so much time to capture their attention, and then you only get so much time to keep their attention. And I think if we can capture them and keep them, and then these conversions are really based on them with an action, which would be a form fill out in our case. So.
Yeah, so as you said, you know, it's not just about a one-page personalization. So this is obviously the homepage example, but it's an online journey, so that every page they visit, or that those high intent pages, are very much personalized as well. So, you know, for this retail example, there's also just here like a quick sort of screen grab of what that sort of product page looks like from a retail side. And then also, you know, the demo request example again. So, you know, once the great thing about this is that once someone from a retail business has come to your website, it's their entire journey is personalized, and that's really kind of influencing that conversion and how they're interacting with your content and how you're interacting with them. Like, it's relevant every time, every page. And I think the social proof as well is such a big thing, isn't it? So, you know, in the kind of the version that's the generic for everyone kind of version of the site, you've obviously got your trusted, you know, by 10,000 plus companies, and you've got some of your big client logos there, which is obviously great to see. But then for these retail businesses coming to your site, they can see that you're working with businesses like them, that you know their industry. You know, you'll be able to work with them because you're experts in that, because look at who else you're working with in their space. So I think that's really powerful as well, isn't it? Showing those relevant sort of industries, that social proof that you can work with businesses like them. You understand their processes and their needs and wants.
Yeah, it's the familiarity, right, that we're giving them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say that, you know, while we landed here, or we've come here, there's a constant optimization that, you know, we've got version, you know, 2.0 to 3.0 or 4.0, so that keeps optimizing these experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as marketers, we're always doing that, right? We've never just,
Never done.
it's a really great point though, because I think, in all our other channels of all the activity that we do, say if you took like email marketing, you would never just like get an email that works and then continuously just use that one and never test anything else against it. You're always doing A/B testing, whether it's a subject line, a call to action, a specific piece of content, an image, you're always optimizing, trying to increase that conversion with all your other channels. So like, why wouldn't you do that with your website? It's absolutely so important, isn't it? Because you're like, I'm quite happy with this conversion, but what if I could get even more from it? So I think it's just so important. And obviously we do have that A/B testing option on our platform as well. So it allows you to do that, to continuously test those options. And I think this sort of takes us on to the behavioural side. So not only were you focused on those retail those sort of industries, different verticals that you're targeting, you also wanted to address each stage of the funnel as well from a behavioural perspective. So, starting with those first time returning visitors who'd interacted across multiple pages, so they're showing, intent by coming to your site and looking at a number of different pages whilst they're on there and during that visit. Knowing that those visitors had established quite a level of interest in the product, you wanted to then sort of ensure that the next visit really sort of reinforced those reasons to choose Acumatica, and you worked hard to make that happen. So here it's a similar story, isn't it, where you kind of then took those learnings from the CRO process with Phil and Holly and applied those to this campaign as well. So could you tell us a bit more about this one, please?
Yeah, so I was going to say, this is again a project that I was working on yesterday. We're optimizing further every day. We integrate with HubSpot. So we've created HubSpot lists for different phases of the pipeline and where they are in their journey. And so on each subsequent visit, so we have these, what we're calling behavioral or welcome back campaigns. And so depending on how they converted or how they interacted with our site previously, at this point, we may already know their industry. And so we can definitely personalize more, but based on their previous behavior, we're then giving them the next step in their, buying journey. And especially as we get closer to the end of the quarter, it's really important for us that we kind of push them over the top, right? And give them everything they could possibly need. And so by having this data and seeing where they've been and what they've done, we can then help them complete the whole picture and give them every piece that we can. And it's our way of hand holding, I guess. So.
Yeah, and that's really interesting when you say about, it's the end of the quarter, because I know on the call to action, you have like a specific call to action rate based on like, it's the end of the quarter or, Q1 offers. So, and it's so easy to update, isn't it? So, you'll be able to update that, next month to sort of Q2 offers and things like that. So, you haven't got to start from scratch with a specific landing page. It's kind of all sort of easy to use within our editor in terms of making those changes. But yeah, I think it's quite interesting. You can see that, again, it's a quick headline change, just to kind of make it focused on, the previous interaction they've had with the site. The call to actions are just updated slightly. There's additional one put there with that time sensitive offer. And just really sort of product focused content based on how they interacted with you before. So it's those sort of simple little changes that 40% conversion uplift. That's really positive, isn't it? Off the back of a couple of tiny tweaks, really.
Yeah, for sure. And we have multiple versions of this for each industry, and then for each subsequent behavior as they come through and what they've done. And what I really like to emphasize, with changes in the economy, we actually started seeing a lower traffic volume, but because we had made so many improvements through personalization, we actually got higher form fills and higher conversions to the point where we're actually month over month converting better than our website ever has. We're breaking records, and it's like, I know we're going to hit it again this month and this quarter. And it's really exciting that this is how we're, we're actually beating the game, right? So
that's fantastic to hear. Yeah, that's absolutely great. So I know we've talked a lot about, getting started in B2B with CRO. That's the theme of today's session. So I just thought I'd do a quick summary of those best practice elements that we've talked through. So as I said at the start, all decisions should be data-led. So really, really important, not just to say, do you know what, I really like this copy, or, I think we should do this. It's all around what the data is telling you, to really make sure that those, you're making decisions that are going to really have a big impact, focusing on those kind of high impact opportunities first, rather than kind of guesswork around, well, I think that maybe this is one of our most popular pages, or I think a lot of the conversions come from here. It's letting the data really tell you that, so you're making smart decisions. As we've talked about, it's setting up those campaigns for those key sectors. So, as Mia mentioned, our tool will help identify where most of your traffic's coming from, which sectors, which industries, to really kind of emphasize that, those largest opportunities, again, you want to focus on initially, that they're kind of your low-hanging fruit, they're your biggest opportunities at the start, they're your quick wins. So, if you're targeting 4 or 5 industries, that's where you'd start, to really make sure that when people from those businesses, those industries come to the site, they get a really, really super relevant, personalized experience that's optimized for them, and that's going to make a big difference in terms of conversion. Also, as we've said, it's an online journey. It's not just personalizing that homepage, so that they're not going to convert. Maybe some people do convert just from landing on the homepage, but I think most people actually do quite a bit of research on your site before they fill out that form. And we know that the B2B buying cycle is getting more and more complex. There's more people involved. People do a lot of research online. I think it's something like 70% research online before they reach out to sales. And so they are going to look around the site. They're going to look at those high intent pages. And you want to be making sure that you're presenting the most relevant content on each of those pages, so that they do fill out that form once they've done that research. We sort of touched on it earlier in terms of the different audiences. But what we really recommend is that experiences are cloned by sector for the different channels. So Acumatica have got campaigns set up. So for that retail example, for example, they had campaigns set up for traffic from PPC, traffic from organic sort of searches, and traffic from their HubSpot integration, to make sure that they can measure everything, they can test everything. So, but it's a really simple sort of cloning process, just simple to set up, but really, really important, measuring the impact, the conversions, and having the best possible experience for those visitors. And then also, as we talked about behavioural, it's really, really, really important to sort of incorporate that in your activity, because it allows you to reach a wider audience. So, if someone isn't matched on the IP data, so they don't get the specific industry personalization, you can capture them in the behavioural one and still present really relevant information and increase that conversion. So, it's really about personalising to as many of your website visitors as you can, and creating that positive, relevant experience for them. So I think we are slightly over, and I know there's a couple of questions on here. We're not going to have time to cover them now, but I will come back to you individually and answer all the questions you've got. But I think actually what would be really nice, Mia, is if you can just if we could wrap this up, like just you telling us about how this sort of personalization has impacted the business and the results that you've achieved off the back of it.
Well, yeah, I think to wrap up, I really just want to say that if you're considering a CRO project with Webeo, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend the team, their analysis, their insights, the extra set of hands to complete the tests, and of course the results we received, I would say it was a game changer for us, and we would do it again in a heartbeat. So it's an excellent opportunity. I highly recommend taking advantage of it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Mia. And thank you everyone for joining the session. And we've really I've enjoyed talking to you so much, Mia, to go through this. It's just really, really great insight as to how you're using the tool and the success you're having. So thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this information with us and with the audience. We appreciate it. So yeah, I'll come back to you with any questions, as I say, and just, thanks again, and hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, Dawn. Thank you.